Hey there, DJs. Happy Monday. It is day 6 of summer school, and today we are going to play around with some drum and bass lines. So this will be the first time that you have two instruments going at the same time in a project for me. So let's open up GarageBand like we always do. Plus sign will get me a brand new song. And similar to what we did on Friday, we're going to start with drums. You should be in tracks where you see drums, and we're going to return to smart drums, which we did before. And I know you've already done this part, so I'm just going to roll the dice, but you are welcome to create your own. And I want all 8 measures of my music filled up. So you can see here at the top, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want you to record through that entire thing. So you do have my permission to roll the dice on this one if you'd like, because the bass line will be the new stuff for us. So let's fill in 8 measures of some drums, and then I'll show you how to add another instrument today. Okay, so I want to make sure all 8 measures are filled before we go on, because if it's much shorter than that, you don't really have a chance to add some stuff to it. So we've recorded our drum line. Now I want you to switch over to layout mode. So you can see at the top where the foldy paper is, that's where we usually return to my songs. Then there's kind of a square, kind of looks like a weird mouth with eyes. But the next one over looks like a brick wall. That's the one I want. So we're going to go to layout mode, and you can see my hip hop drum machine that I recorded. This is the exact same thing I just recorded, just in a different view. Now, if you ever want to change something about your projects, you can shorten this, you can lengthen this. If you don't like this, you can delete it, you can loop it. There's some other options. But we are going to go ahead and add a bass line to our drum machine. So we're going to click the plus sign in the bottom left. And we're now going to add something new. So let's stay on instruments, but let's keep going until we find bass. There you are, bass. And we're going to go to smart bass down here in the corner. And let's make sure that we are on chords and not notes. You want your chords to be the gray one. If you're on notes, it will look like this, and that won't give you what you want. And let's go to autoplay 2. Why not? There's a couple different autoplays, but I think 2 is going to work the best for this one. So I'm going to let you play around with this bass line with autoplay 2. Whichever letter you start on, I want you to end on that one, because we're going to make that one do. And if you've learned anything about your solfege in music class, you know do is the most important note in your song. So if we start on G, let's also end on G. So this is what autoplay 2 sounds like a little bit. So there's a couple different autoplays. I just went for 2. If you're feeling spicy and you want to try 4, you can do that too. So all I ask is whatever letter you start on, that's the one I want you to end on. Now, good news, when I record here with my bass line, it will not wipe my drum. I added another track to it, so you're actually going to hear them both at the same time, which is going to be pretty sweet. So I'm going to play around in the key of G, so I'm going to start and stop on G, and I'll show you kind of how this works. So remember, you've only got 8 measures to play with, so you want to get back to whatever note you started on before that 8 measures runs out. And then we are just going to save this the exact same way that we have with everything else. Now, if you want to go back to that layout mode, you can see the drum machine and the bass line happening at the same time. And maybe you didn't like the bass line that you made and you want to delete it and do it again, or if you want to make it shorter and add a different one. You've got a lot of options in layout mode that you don't have in that other instrument mode. But I'm happy with mine. So I'm going to go up to the little foldy page like we always do. We can rename this. I would name it Sample Drum and Bass. I always tell my students at Manor Hill this is not a fish, that is a drum. It is a bass, not a bass. We'll tap and we'll share, and it's a song. You guys are doing such a good job with that, by the way. We'll share. It's going to go to Google Classroom. Make sure that you are in Summer 2020 GarageBand, and I can't wait to see what you create.